how do you create a brand new park without any land to build it on?
When you first look at it, you're like, this looks pretty scary.
What happens when mountains inspire a cutting-edge design for an extraordinary art gallery?
When I first saw the watercolor, my first thought is, that's not a building, that's just a sketch.
And how do you turn an artist's sculpture into a working office building?
It's like it could topple over at any time.
And keep it standing. This is the age of the extraordinary.
It's like one of those insect-eating plants, only enormous and white.
Where ingenious engineers have unleashed unchecked creativity. Now, their secrets are revealed. As we discover the amazing stories of their construction.
This is an incredible feat of planning and engineering.
To try and understand, how did they build that?
Hey, yeah, I'd like to place an insane architecture order. All right, can I get a 100,000 square foot public park with landscaped hills and, I don't know, maybe 350 species of trees, shrubs, and flowers? Oh, and can you make the whole thing, like, float above a river? Yeah, cool, thanks. Now, I'm not sure the genius who dreamed up this idea was thinking too much about the builders who'd actually have to make their dream a reality, but boy, did they deliver.
Parks and green spaces are always at a premium in the world's cities, and that's especially true on Manhattan Island. With 1.6 million people packed into 22 square miles, more was desperately desired.
Uptown at Central Park, Midtown Manhattan, it's a little short on green space. Where would you squeeze it in?
That's exactly the challenge that the city faced. So it decided the answer was to create something out of nothing.
The pier doesn't really look like prime real estate.
It's basically just a patch of freezing cold water with some rotten wooden posts where the pier once was.
The plan was extraordinary. To take the site of two derelict piers on the Hudson River and create a fantasy island to float above them. Growing out of 132 giant plant pots held up on 280 stilts, driven into the riverbed below. It would be like nothing engineers had ever seen.
You look at it and you're like, is that gonna work?
And would push the team to its very limits.
We were sort of clawing our way up these slopes.
This is Little Island, a huge idea that took 17 specialized teams of engineers, fabricators, and gardeners 10 years to complete. So how did they build it? Manhattan's concrete jungle. Deep urban canyons created by ever more dense development. In a city where one block of real estate can be worth up to $1 billion. Opportunities for new green space are not only rare, they come with high expectations.
If you want to create an outstanding attraction in Manhattan these days, it's going to have to be pretty special.
Up until now, that has usually meant converting something that's no longer used. Like this stretch of railroad viaduct, built on 1.5 miles of old tracks and bridges. The Highline Linear Park has been a huge hit. 8 million visitors wander Highland's elevated walkways each year. While on the nearby Hudson River, some of Manhattan's oldest piers are getting similar treatment, having been abandoned after a glorious past. During the first half of the 20th century, the western stretch of Manhattan's shoreline was the gateway to the international superhighway. Huge ocean liners steamed in from abroad or prepared for great voyages. Their excited passengers would come and go from huge jetties. Among them was Pier 54. Before the jet age, this pier and its neighbors bustled with activity. But by 2000, Pier 54 and many others have become disused or damaged beyond repair. A few years later, the Hudson River Park Trust starts turning some of them into simple public spaces.
Putting grass and trees on an existing pier makes sense. It's budget friendly.
But if the pier barely exists, where do you start? In 2010, the Trust decides the site of Pier 54 and its neighboring piers are next on the list, and bring in British architects Heatherwick Studios. Among their recent projects are 1,000 trees in Shanghai, a shopping center styled as a mountain covered with 250,000 plants. And The Hive, a hyper-efficient educational building for the University of Singapore. In 2012, they first visit the site.
Looking at all these piers, the ones that had fallen into disrepair created these pile fields sticking up out of the water, which were very serene and beautiful. And that's what inspired us. Why are we trying to invent something different that goes on there, take what's already there and beautiful, the piles, and extend them to create the platforms to hold the landscape? It was a really exciting moment because they thought, brilliant, we don't have to just create a pavilion on top of a normal pier, we can create a new type of pier.
Over the next few weeks, the new design idea is refined. Then in October 2012, the Heatherwick team flies into New York to meet its clients, just as the city is hit by Hurricane Sandy.
One of our final concept presentations was when Hurricane Sandy hit. So the team were actually in Manhattan during that moment, which kind of made it all incredibly real.
The largest Atlantic storm ever to hit New York, Sandy arrives at high tide, causing the subway and road tunnels to flood. It shows Matt and the team what the new park will have to be able to deal with.
So how do we design something to last for the next 100 years?
Their solution is a design that redefines how a park looks, is used, and is built. 280 pillars will rise up out of the Hudson to support the futuristic new park. 132 of them topped with a series of unique and highly engineered interlinking pots. By altering the height and shape of each one, they will create a landscape that rises and falls. 114 large trees and over 200,000 other plants will be planted in the pots. Weaving amongst them will be 1/3 of a mile of walkways and a 687-seat amphitheater for live performance. It will be unlike any waterside park on the planet.
This is a classic Heatherwick Studios design. It's original, it's elegant, and it's not obviously buildable.
But it was Celine Armstrong's job to do just that.
I looked at the design and said, go one more pass at simplifying it, and then let's do this. But people had already fallen in love with it, and it was, let's figure it out.
In 2014, the project is greenlit. The first challenge for the engineers is figuring out how to make the 2.5 acres of man-made park, weighing tens of thousands of tons, float above the Hudson River.
If you don't want your building to collapse, you need to make sure the foundations are solid. And the best way to do that is to anchor the building to bedrock.
That, though, is going to be far from easy.
So building in federal waters of the United States in an old shipping area is a nightmare. You don't know what's beneath the subsurface layer. When people didn't want something, they just threw it over the edge.
Once the engineers have surveyed the riverbed and cleared obstructions, the enormous job of creating a solid base for the new park begins. First, a marine crane brings a concrete pile into position. Each is 3 feet in diameter, up to 200 feet long, and tipped with a steel spike. The pile driver then hammers it down into the riverbed until it pierces the bedrock below. The success of the complex build to come depends on the accuracy of this pile driving process.
When you're driving piles next to each other with pots that sit on them, if they deflect, they're going to be too far apart or they're going to be too close to each other. And so making sure those piles are driven as vertically as possible is really important.
We had the best equipment where you drive the pile using GPS, double leader system. We know it's spot on. The engineer operating that equipment is like, these are fantastic. Move on, do more.
Then, as the forest of columns is growing, they discover a major problem.
There are a lot of checks and balances throughout the entire process of this project, and one of them was double surveying. And we found, wait a minute, this survey doesn't match your survey. What is going on?
Next, what's causing the columns to move? On the construction site of a new park floating over New York's Hudson River, engineers discover the concrete island's huge supporting pillars have moved from where they were originally installed.
With a project this exact and expensive, you can't afford surprises. But the columns were deviating from the plan and no one knew why.
We eventually realized it's like sticking, sticks in a bowl of Jell-O, and as you stick more sticks in that bowl of Jell-O, it pushes the Jell-O, and the Jell-O is pushing the piles that were already installed, further east.
Luckily, we built the project east to west, and so they all kind of just danced. So our project is maybe just 6 inches further east than anticipated, and it worked out.
With pile driving underway, the next step is to create the tulip-shaped pots that will sit on top of the pillars. They need to make 132 of them, and no two are the same.
Because of the complexity and the need for kind of accuracy, that meant that we could actually create a geometry in the computer and test it, make sure it worked. Then we could actually give it to a CNC machine at Fort Miller, which was the fabricators, and it would literally cut out exactly what's in the computer. And then you then cast the concrete against it.
Each of these pots are made up of 6 different pieces, and they were all prefabricated up at upstate New York. 6 different pieces are then brought together in Albany, where they go from being kind of petals and column heads, and they get assembled into a whole pot.
The next challenge to overcome is getting the huge pots 130 miles from the factory to the pier site. By road, they'd need to be moved one at a time, causing chaos in the city. So, the team turns to an age-old mode of transportation.
We were interested in using the river to deliver materials to the site because from a sustainability perspective, it stops trucks going through the middle of Manhattan.
The Hudson River takes the load, just as it once did for the building of the original piers during the 19th century. Each barge effortlessly transporting up to 4 pots, or 280 tons of concrete to the site. In fact, the barges prove crucial for the whole construction.
They bring materials in via barge, they work from the barge, they have a crane on the barge, so it really is full marine construction.
Even as the pots are craned into position, the job of driving the pillars into the bedrock continues to throw up problems.
Okay, there is a boulder here. We're just going to move the pile over, which also means we need to redesign this pot. So if your engineers could expedite that, so by the time we're actually pile driving and ready to install that pot, it's ready.
With the 132 pots in place on the pillars, the team focuses on turning the concrete island into a mature riverside oasis.
This thing is a park for New Yorkers. That's what it's for. In order to do that, we wanted to put trees, not just like little trees, proper landscape.
To oversee the design, they bring in landscape architect Signe Nielsen, who has no idea what she's getting herself into.
Well, I was a bit naive, I would say, and so I wasn't aware of all the challenges that arose, but I was quickly aware that the topography, the slopes that we had to accommodate in order to create this undulation were going to be challenging.
By using 3D computer modeling, Signe could design a plan that would be nearly impossible to fully visualize in her head.
One of the things that I would have my staff do is literally walk me up every path and every curve so I could see what the slope was next to me, the slope going down away from me, where I wanted views directed. It was a brilliant way to work.
While a 3D model is great for the designers to visualize where they're going to put trees and plants, crucially, it means the engineers could calculate all of the loads to ensure that the columns could take it.
1 cubic yard of dry soil weighs around 2,000 pounds, 3,000 when wet. Add in several tons of trees and plants, and it adds up fast.
In our load calculations, we figured that we could get about 350 tons per pile. And we knew about how much each of these pots was going to weigh and how much soil was necessary to carry the plants and the trees that were needed.
With the engineers happy that the structure will support the landscaping, the race is on to get everything planted before New York's bitter winter arrives.
The 15th of December is generally our climatological cutoff. And could we make it?
A lot of the materials on the top side of our park are temperature sensitive. It got a bit tense over who was more important, and given the clouds that we see rolling in, we really need these guys to get done, so clear out so they can finish their work.
Another massive crane is brought in to plant the huge trees in their individually engineered pots.
We modeled the root balls exactly to their size, but the most challenging area of the park was what we call the Southwest. It was the last area that we had access to. Winter was breathing down our neck, and we had to get the plants in quickly, and it is the steepest slopes.
Along with 35 species of tree, the design involves planting 260 different varieties of plants and 66,000 bulbs.
When it came to planting the perennials and the grasses, this was done by hand. We were sort of clawing our way up these slopes.
In 2021, 9 years after a new Pier Park was first discussed, Little Island is ready for its debut. And it's a huge hit with visitors.
Architecture is pretty nice. I've never seen anything like it before.
And the structure is amazing, just like little pea pods that it's built up on, looks so cool.
It's like you're in New York, but you're floating in the river or the sea.
New York has a completely unique new park for its people, created by incredible design and engineering.
It's something, that I'll forever be proud of, and I'm just so fortunate to have had, the trust of the team to do such crazy things.
In a city renowned for its amazing architecture and engineering, Little Island is proof that New York still holds a torch for radical design. This latest addition to the center of the Hudson is truly raising the bar on what people can expect from a public space. Next, a wild rocky mountain of titanium rips up the rule book in downtown Denver.
It's a long walk down to the beach. Especially when trying to tiptoe past slumbering giants. Without waking them. A 3-ton elephant seal could easily crush the little penguin.
Now I'm doing a T. What's next?
I need to see everybody as quick as you can.
Wow, ladies, come on in.
We're going to have the adventure of a lifetime.
Let's go, let's go.
Guys, we got this.
Basic stuff. Guys, just keep it up. We're coming for your throne.
Little competition never hurt nobody.
You know you can do it. You just got to do it.
Oh!
It feels so good having the power.
I like that a lot.
2 is better than 1. Girls gone wild.
You've never seen nothing like this.
You're pathetic.
This is better than Netflix.
is a vibe.
Good job, my little helper. You're doing great.
You're welcome.
San Antonio, the birthplace of Tex-Mex cuisine. You're welcome, world. This is a town with unmistakable Latin roots.
People don't realize we're 40% of Texas now. We're actually the majority now. We've been treated like we're a foreign people, but we didn't cross the border crossed us.
Leguizamo Does America, every Thursday at 8 p.m., exclusively on Planet Earth.
Typically, when you visit a museum, you just want to get inside, quick as you can, to see all the amazing treasures they've got on show in there. But this next building, it ain't no typical museum. Its design is so radical and so mind-blowing, I'd gladly pay the price of admission just to stand outside and look at it.
The museum directors told me, Mr. Libeskind, just don't give us a box.
Instead, they got a design that would stretch its engineers to their limit.
I couldn't believe that something could be designed in such a manner. It looked like a piece of origami.
It's a building so unprecedented, it took pioneering new technology to build it.
Absolutely mind-blowing. It's like a spaceship has landed in the middle of Denver.
This is the Denver Museum of Art. 146,000 square feet of galleries. At its core, a structural skeleton as complex as it was tough to assemble. Not a right-angle corner or symmetrical wall in sight. And all the time, gravity trying to pull it apart. So, how did they build it? It's the year 2000, and the city of Denver's art curators have got a growing problem.
We were really driving in crowds, we were over capacity, we were building collections like crazy, we were really growing, and we were out of space. So our board and our city decided that we should expand.
The existing museum in Denver's Civic District sits among a classic urban grid of rectangles and cubes. It's here the city agrees to put a completely new building, and to design it, chooses one of the world's foremost architects, Daniel Libeskind. To answer his anything-but-a-box brief, Libeskind takes his inspiration from the natural skyscrapers beyond Denver, the snowy peaks of the Rocky Mountains.
I think a museum has to be as interesting as walking on those valleys or slopes. As you look at Denver, you see the mountain peaks, you see the snow, you see the valleys. My design was inspired to connect people the way they're connected when they climb those mountains, to have that sense of space, to have the sense of light, that sense of wow.
Libeskind takes a rather unusual approach to convince his clients of his idea.
When I first saw the watercolor that he did of this sort of spiky building, my first thought is, that's not a building. That's just a sketch. That's a piece of art.
Over the next 2.5 years, the design is worked into a full-scale, detailed proposal. Inside Denver's new art museum will be a series of zigzagging gallery spaces, all flowing through huge openings and stairways. This will be supported by a series of internal steel beams that are interconnected with one another to create an angular structure reminiscent of a ship's hull, and tipped with a huge 100-foot prow that stretches out over the neighboring 13th Street. The building will feature 20 vast inwardly sloping panes, all different and clad with 9,000 shimmering plates. This is architecture that will pioneer a new vision for a public art gallery. It will be like nothing the city has ever seen.
Architecturally, Denver has been pretty rectangular, but this building doesn't just break the mold, it melts it down.
Denver Art Museum is an unprecedented building. That's what it is. There's never been a building like this before.
Unprecedented designs come with unprecedented challenges. And this, with its sheer angles and jutting overhangs, has the engineers already wondering how they're going to build it.
The biggest challenge for the project was the complexity of the geometry, there's no doubt, and would have been next to impossible to build if we were drawing everything by hand.
It's 2000, and lead structural engineer Attila Zekioglu turns to technology that is still in its infancy to help. The latest 3D computer-aided design.
We decided that we were going to use a revolutionary step into using 3D, not only documenting the structural system in 3D, but actually conceiving it in 3D, analyzing it, designing it in 3D.
This cutting-edge software can solve hugely complex geometric problems that humans cannot. The result is a series of computer-generated models that reveal the scale of the challenge the engineers face in building it.
It's like our moment in the candy store, and we're just looking at this model, spinning it around, dissecting it, and it became very clear that the slanted walls were not symmetrical.
The lack of symmetry means balancing the gravitational forces within the structure will be impossible using conventional building methods, such as concrete formwork. So the engineers come up with a slimline, but very strong solution. Concrete will be used, but only to create a hugely strong base pad. In an idea borrowed from shipbuilding, huge girders will be placed in concrete floors, then linked to beams in the slanted walls to stop them from pushing out. It will take more than 2,700 tons of steel beams bolted together to create the precise and unique skeleton for the entire building. This will be very complex to build, but will solve all their major problems at once.
The steel framework, the beams and the girders, make up one resisting system for the building.
This was something that had not been done to date, and it is an elegant solution to achieve the mission.
Or at least it looked like an elegant solution. But J.R. Baker, who hails from a proud family of ironworkers, could see there was a problem.
They started to look at the construction documents, and they got a little nervous. The problem we had was like building a house of cards. At any given moment, it wants to fall flat on you. They said, we don't think we can build this.
Next, can the team pull it off? In Denver, the construction team has a blueprint for an extraordinary new art museum, but no blueprint for how to build it. The engineers realize the computer model gives no information on which order to assemble the 3,100 pieces of steel, or how to support it while they put it together.
Your traditional building methods of just building from the ground up did not work for this job.
Justin Mitchell is one of the engineers on the ground, working out how to build it.
From an engineering aspect, we had to figure out how do we keep this thing from falling over and leaning outward as we're constructing it.
Their solution is to bring in specially designed shoring towers to prop up each section as it's built.
We had 54 of them out here. Some of them went through the middle of the structure. We had them leaning in or out. They were the elements that kept this thing from falling over.
They were holding up these angles until we had the connecting piece. So we literally broke the building down into elements and built it kind of like an erector set.
Each bespoke joint has to be individually made and has to be exact. But incredibly, despite this complexity, building using the computer modeling and harnessed with human engineering experience seems to be working.
These are rough ironworker guys. They were planning their day on the computer screen and saying, this is what we're going to build today. All the partners working together. It worked so well that that was the biggest surprise. Not on how difficult it was to build this, but how smoothly and well the process actually worked.
Then, as the building is coming together, they hit a problem.
One day we got a connection that didn't fit, and it really freaked out the entire construction team. How in the world did this happen? It's been going so well.
It's a serious issue, but some on-site detective work soon identifies the cause: human error.
They actually traced it right back to an individual in the fabrication shop who, on a trimmed corner of a piece of plate, they had trimmed an inch off the corner to make it fit just right. And so everything was off 1 inch.
Having discovered the error, the plate is remade and construction continues. Barker and his team can't afford any mistakes with the next installation, the steel that will become the building's signature feature.
One of them would have been what we call the prow of the ship, which the largest piece of steel on the entire project, it was that massive center spire that went from there out over the street.
The 85-foot steel gives crucial strength to the prow and leads up to the razor-sharp tip as it juts 167 feet out and 100 feet high over a busy 13th Street.
I think the most nerve-wracking moment might have been the construction over the street of that space and how it supports itself.
The huge beam must be cantilevered or supported at just one end to receive the bolts which will hold it in position.
We had shoring towers leaning out away from the road, but yet still holding part of the prow of the ship or the prow of the structure here.
After a whole year spent assembling the steel frame using over 50,000 bolts, the construction supports are taken away. It's a huge moment for the team when they see whether the computer-generated design, built by humans, will stand up on its own.
When we removed those shores, there were no corrective actions required. It fell right into place. It was just elation.
The framework is in place, but now it needs a skin to cover the 200,000 square feet. They consider concrete and stone laminate, but they're dismissed as either too heavy or too dull to look at. Finally, the engineers turn to a cutting-edge material that can be found glinting off satellites, integrated into warships and their attack aircraft. Titanium alloy.
Titanium is used on the underside of spacecrafts because it's significantly lighter than steel, but at the same time, just as strong. And it doesn't corrode as easily.
This extraordinary material can also cope with Denver's high desert weather.
Denver's climate is incredibly varied. You can have snow one morning and by the afternoon it's 70 degrees and sunny.
Unlike steel, titanium doesn't expand or contract when it gets hot or cold. So it's absolutely ideally suited to Denver's extreme temperatures.
It's also significantly more expensive than most alternatives and hadn't been budgeted for.
Quite honestly, I didn't choose it. We didn't have enough money to choose that material, but we had a great donor who donated the titanium, and that was such a fantastic thing to have in those shapes that I've built. It brings that light to the city and remarkably fits the new city that it's built in.
It also hides the crucial but not so pretty insulation underneath, essential for protecting the building from Denver's huge variations in humidity and temperature. Each layer behind the titanium has a special job to do.
On the outside, we have the titanium panel, 2 layers of insulation, and we have a mesh that separates it from the insulation on the building so that air is allowed to flow behind the panels. This allows the panels to breathe with the summer heating of the building or the cooling in the winter. And then behind that, you have a foam, and then that's covered with a fire-resistant spray-on concrete, which provides the final layer.
The cladding is installed ahead of time, and thanks to the computer-aided design and build process, the project is finished 3 months ahead of schedule. In 2006, 3 years after construction began, the groundbreaking new Denver Art Museum opens to the public.
It was certainly exciting on the opening days of the project when people came in and looked up and you could see their imagination run wild.
When it was first built, people weren't sure. Some people didn't love it. And now it's just a part of the fabric of who we are and how we identify ourselves. That's when you know that it's been embraced.
When I built it, they said maximum 200,000 people will come to the building. Now we have figures of over 1 million.
While the Denver public enjoys the experience of the new museum, the experience of creating the building itself remains powerful in the team who built it.
My father was an iron worker, but he died when I was in high school. He never got to see what I do. He never got to see that I was the epitome of what he himself longed to be in his life. And I was able to bring my mother to the site and show her what I'd been able to do. It was a remarkable moment. Sorry.
We were at the forefront of what was possible with 3D modeling, also on the forefront of what's possible with architecture. We proved that we could construct it and build it.
Regular viewers of this show know that architects just love to break the rules. And this next ahead of its time building, they're gonna have thousands of book borrowers breaking the rules too. Because no matter how much you shush folks, this is one library building everyone will want to shout about. Sorry.
It's the 1990s, and in the city of Nice in the south of France, something strange is about to happen. They needed a new office for the staff who worked at the city library. And they wanted something that was, well, out of the ordinary. And it would be fair to say, that is what they got.
Lorsque je l'ai vu fini, je me suis dit, oh mon Dieu.
It's such an unusual shape for a building. It's like it could topple over at any time.
This is La Tête Carrée, or as it's also known, thinking inside the box. The product of an artist's fevered imagination. That was a real pain in the neck to build.
It's not easy for a building to also be a sculpture.
It needed to be strong enough to hold up 4 floors of office space and still appeared to be an elegant sculpture that looked solid while still letting in the lights. So, how did they build it?
A legendary collection faces its greatest challenge.
There is a planetary emergency, and it worries me the shape of the planet that we will leave to future generations.
Its experts race against time, using the past to save our future.
Gives us hope that we can actually fight against the negativity that climate change will bring.
Natural History Museum premieres December 24th at 8 p.m. exclusively on Planet Earth.
Welcome to Bolivia, Madagascar, Peru, Brazil, Indonesia, Palau, Asia, Florida. One of my favorite animals on the planet. I'm Dominic Monaghan. All my life I've been fascinated by animals. I've dreamt of traveling the planet to get my hands on some of the rarest and amazing creatures out there. Absolutely spectacular animal. The wilder, the better. Pretty wild, right?
Wild Things, every Saturday and Sunday at 8 p.m. exclusively on Planet Earth.
Christmas has brought me nothing but misery. I know just what to do.
Oh my God.
You know what this is about.
I think so.
Hello.
Oh, welcome. We have a lot to talk about.
All of it.
Time to sparkle! Let's go!
Would you like to take a break? I'm good.
Woo! That was really satisfying.
The movie hits you were waiting for. Every Monday and Saturday on Box Hits.
I'm surrounded by nature's greatest wonders.
Sharks have honed their predatory skills for over 150 million years.
By excavating now here, we really know what is it.
This is an incredible history.
They're so much like footprints. I'm convinced they're tracks.
Nice, on the French Riviera, is famous for its Art Deco style and vibrant art scene. And so, in 1996, the chance to build a new municipal office for the city's librarians is seen as an opportunity to create something special. So special, in fact, that they decide to bring in the sculptor and artist, Sasha Sosno.
Une sculpture, un homme avec un cube qui devient un building, personne ne l'avait vu. Et ça a commencé comme ça, donc ça devenait très sérieux. Il était très excité de savoir que des gens, des êtres humains, allaient vivre dans sa sculpture.
His idea is quite simple. An enormous bust of a man where most of the head is replaced by a solid box. But turning this flight of fantasy into a working building will be anything but.
The building is going to be used by library staff every single day, so somehow it needs to contain functional office space.
It's obvious from the start that there are some pretty big challenges. To overcome them, the team turned to marine and aviation engineering, as well as having to think outside the box. To give the building strength, they designed a conventional reinforced concrete core at the center, which will also contain the stairs, elevator, and the plumbing. This will act as a spine, off which each upper floor can gain support. The ground floor entrance will be hidden by the shoulders, neck, and chin, all created from a framework clad in metal panels. Upstairs, the main offices will be 4 50-foot square floors. Full-height glass will be installed on all 4 sides, then entirely clad in more panels, staying true to the artist's original vision of having a completely solid cube on top. In 2000, work begins on the concrete core. But the first major challenge is working out how to build the cube that contains the office space.
It's top-heavy. I mean, the sides of the cube overhang over the pavement below. It looks like it could topple over.
Sasha, the engineers and architects have to decide on what material will be strong enough to do the job. Strong enough to support wide office floors, but also light enough not to bring the whole building down.
Aussi, il y a une histoire de poids. Pas que ce soit trop lourd, que tout s'effondre. C'est difficile aussi de calculer ça. Donc ils ont tout calculé et je crois que c'était l'aluminium qui était le meilleur.
Sheets of corrugated aluminum are used to reinforce the concrete floors. And then aluminum beams and pillars create a rigid cubed box structure. Aluminum is widely used in aircraft manufacturing for the same reasons it's being used here.
Using this material had some major benefits. It's strong, it's light, and it reduces the load that this giant sculpture's neck had to take.
Aluminum doesn't just form the basis of the cube. Sasha also decides the entire building must be clad in it. A decision that wasn't without controversy.
À tout le monde, eh oui, comment? Ah bon, aluminium? Oh ben non, nous on n'aime pas trop l'aluminium. Il a fallu aussi persuader le maire, qui ne voulait pas entendre parler, il voulait mettre des vitres. Et Sacha ne voulait pas qu'il y ait des vitres. Il ne voulait pas que ça ressemble à un building, il voulait que ça ressemble à une sculpture. Alors donc, il a travaillé sur cette histoire de trous. Alors, des petits trous carrés, merveilleux. Une tête carrée avec des plaques avec des petits carrés. C'était formidable, c'était bien plus beau d'ailleurs.
Cladding the whole structure in this skin full of square holes is so clever. The impression from the outside is of a solid cube, but from the inside, you can still see out.
With the huge head secure, the next major challenge for the engineers is how to create the shoulders, neck, and chin.
Alors, pour toute la partie humaine de la sculpture, c'est-à-dire le menton, les épaules, la bouche, il fallait trouver quelque chose. Ça ne peut pas se faire comme ça en béton.
As with so many things on this project, the solution lies in an unconventional approach to building offices.
On était très amis avec une fabricant de bateaux en aluminium. Et on a fabriqué toute la structure humaine, les épaules, le menton, la bouche, ont été faites avec la technique des bateaux à voile. C'était un bateau qui ne ressemblait pas à un bateau, mais qui aurait pu être un bateau.
Working in the boatyard, the boat builder uses the thin sheet aluminum to create the fluid shapes needed for the bust. Then, in huge pieces, they are brought in by truck in the dead of night.
C'était assez magique parce qu'il y avait des lumières rouges comme ça. Il n'y avait plus de voitures, toutes les voitures ne pouvaient pas circuler. Et ces grands camions qui amenaient des morceaux et assez angoissantes parce que Sacha ne dormait plus. Et moi non plus. Ces morceaux ont été soudés entre eux pour construire cette fameuse sculpture.
As the building reveals itself to the residents of Nice, one question is on the tip of everyone's tongue. Whose chin is it?
Jules César, mais je ne suis pas sûre. C'est un empereur romain, ça c'est certain. L'Empire romain, ils sont des conquérants avec le menton bien affirmé.
In fact, Sasha had chosen a Roman to be his model. One famous not on the battlefield, but on the sports field.
Pour la tête carrée, il a pris le modèle de l'athlète du Bénévent. Un athlète très très glorieux.
Completed and inaugurated in 2002, the extraordinary office opens and the librarians move in.
La première fois où je suis entrée dans le monument, j'ai dit, moi, là, jamais. Aujourd'hui, j'y travaille depuis 20 ans et si l'on en croit ma famille, j'y habite plus que je n'habite à la maison. Et c'est vraiment un lieu magique.
For Sasha Sosno, it's also the realization of his aim in life, to create art and sculpture that was public, to be enjoyed by everyone.
Je crois qu'il était très heureux de réussir. Il a fait beaucoup de jaloux, mais c'est pas... ça, c'est normal. C'est la vie. Mais il a réussi. On ne peut pas dire qu'il n'a pas réussi. Il a réussi. Je suis fière de lui.
In English, La Tête Carrée translates as squarehead or stubborn head. This thought-provoking union is anything but. Part private office, part public art icon, complete masterpiece.